Hi class, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to talk about technology and how it's developed over time, what its implications are, and how does it apply to businesses. Why do we invent technology? Well, we want to make our lives easier. We have problems we need to solve. It makes us more productive. And because it's there, that essentially we are curious beings and we need to find out how the world works. The foundation of technology is we want technology to be an extension of us, but we want it to be better than us. We want it to go faster than us. If we talk, I'm going to be able to talk to the other side of the world. And so when you look at yourself, you basically have an external part, which is your 5 senses. That's the way we touch the world, whether it's smell or touch or taste. And also who we are internally, that we're beings of intellect, emotion, and we have needs. And so if we sit down and look at what the focus of technology has been on a personal level of who we are, externally we want to be faster, we want the tech to be faster, cheaper, and we also want it to mold to us. On the other hand, we also have our internal needs, our psychological needs, and that's about networking. And we want to be wider, meaning we want to include more different kinds of people, deeper. We want to know you better, and of course always move faster. To give you an idea of how man continues to want technology to make a better him, if we look at transportation, what was the first thing we did? We harnessed animals. And it's because they're faster than us and stronger than us. And that's the thing, if the animals ever figure out, like lions, hey, should I go after that out-of-shape human who can only run 5 miles an hour, or should I go after that 40-mile-an-hour gazelle? Yeah, we're in trouble. The thing is, man realized that one of the big obstacles to transportation was terrain, so we made roads. And then subsequently, we harnessed nature. We took advantage of wind. We learned about the relationship between using fossil fuels and converting it into mechanical engineering, the steam engine. And not only that, we also figured out electricity, how electricity and magnetism works together to make engines. And subsequently, we can reach the stars. Now, what about us as people? Well, originally we started off just talking one-on-one. But the thing is, people communicate more than just through speech and hearing. And so people first banded together. That's the way we communicated together, which was localized. We tried to find forms to communicate where we didn't have to be there. And so we developed pictures, and we developed an alphabet. Subsequently, that emerged to, well, what if I want to go longer distances? So drums, so people could hear these things or see smoke signals. However, that's not very well targeted, and so we came up with ways because we wanted to target specific people one-on-one, whether it's having runners like at Marathon or a Pony Express. And today we've harnessed all that technology where we can talk to each other. What drives technology? Well, intellectual curiosity, war. War has actually been the biggest reason why most of these technologies have evolved. If you want to look around you, most of the technology today all came out of war. Computing, war. The internet, war. The first, your passenger airplane, war. It was originally a cargo plane during World War II. Space, again, the push for next generation technologies causes us to evolve. And of course, greed. Ask Edison. Anyway, in another comment to space, in order to colonize, we need to come up with better ways to get power, more efficient ways to clean water and to clean our air. People say don't go to space, but wouldn't those technologies help us here? The commonality in all this is that we want to go faster, become closer, and it's for everyone. The thing is, the great driver of democracy isn't necessarily governments, it's been technology, because technology knows no boundaries. The intent is to make it cheap enough so that everybody can have it. And subsequently, that's why you have so many entrepreneurs or people can go into finance and things like that, because the internet has brought all those barriers down. What drives our rage is there's only a few core technologies that actually drives our rage, and one is electromagnetism, which gives us power in wireless. The invention of electron devices that gives us sensors as well as computing. That's the thing. Computing before took up a whole floor of a building, and it was slow. And now sensors, small microsensors, have solved that problem. As man, we created computing. It's something synthetic. We used to laugh at the computer scientists at MIT because we said, you don't deal with nature. You just live inside your head. Well, as it turns out, those guys ended up winning. And biologics. Not only is it pharma, understanding biology and chemistry, but it's also food science. And that's that. If it wasn't for food science, we'd all be starving. There's no way we could feed everyone. And for those of you who have your own private gardens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the thing is, we're constantly miniaturizing these technologies because we want them to fit us. This is a little overview of the people who shaped our age. Long ago, people were multidisciplinary. Michael Faraday was a chemist and an electrical engineer, and he's the one responsible for battery technology. James Clerk Maxwell, and those four short equations, that pretty much defines all of electromagnetism. And actually, people at MIT revere him so much, he got his name on, his equations are on a t-shirt. Tesla gave us the age of wireless. William Shockley, who created, I always laugh when I say Shockley's name just because he was a genius. He created all semiconductor physics, but the thing is, the man was a total SOB and white supremacist and wanted everyone with an IQ of under 95 to be sterilized, and so Stanford doesn't talk about Shockley much. Alan Turing is the father of computer science. Alan Turing was the man who figured out how to break the Enigma code in World War II, and quite sadly, Alan Turing took his own life because he was gay, and that was actually a crime in Great Britain. So here's a man who saved the entire nation, and he was hounded, and he was imprisoned, and he was given the choice, go to jail for the rest of your life or get chemically castrated. And so Turing took his life. Huge loss for the world. Bob Metcalfe is greatly endeared by MIT alumni. And the thing about Bob Metcalfe is what he figured out is how to take a lot of information and put it into packets and to be able to send it. Bob Metcalfe did this for something that was called the ARPANET. And the ARPANET became, that's right, the internet. Fleming discovered penicillin. This started the age of pills. And it's what is still the primary way that you get healthcare today. But those pills have evolved to the point where essentially a lot of them are based on biologics, and that's DNA, and that's Crick and Watson. If you look at technology, the interesting thing is it follows a pattern, and that's that we come up with a whole bunch of inventions, and then we start innovating it. We start turning steam engines into railroads and things like that. And in the 1900s, that's where we started getting the automobile, the Wright brothers, radio started becoming prevalent, and then those technologies evolved, and so we innovate them and we turn them into businesses. And then the 60s saw the next big wave where it was about semiconductors and microsensors as well as the cell phone, and we innovate again, and today it's about computing is our big innovation. The question is, when's the next stage of invention going to start? Some think it's going to be about quantum computing. The thing is, saying that there's going to be something and turning into business, two different things. I've just seen technologies where everybody says, oh, it's going to be here soon, and then you find out, try a decade. The thing is, between these cycles, supposing I fell asleep in 1950 and I woke up in 1980, well, the world was still pretty much the same. I mean, you had cars then, you had cars now. Yeah, it would have been a lot more crowded and everything else. But you had airplanes then. The world pretty much stayed the same. On the other hand, if you fell asleep in 1980, when basically a computer took up a whole floor of a building, and you woke up in 2010 and told people I have the world's information at my fingertips, that you're holding something that's like 100,000 times more powerful than what got us to the moon and back, and ask people, what do you do with it? Well, I send a person a message, LOL. But you really see with the internet and everything else that the world would be a drastically different place. And so we see that through these cycles, that's the way technology works. And it also works that way with healthcare, that in the 1800s, was there cancer? Yeah, there was cancer. But did a lot of people die from it? No. And the reason why is what people typically died from back then was either infection or pneumonia. And so back then, but since there weren't any antibiotics or anything, what people did was just try to relieve the pain, go after the symptoms. And then in the 1900s with penicillin, it was the great age of pharma discovery with steroids and psychotropics. That's the thing. You look at movies from the 1950s. If you had a mental disorder, no, they didn't give you happy pills. What they did is strap you down and basically put electrical shocks through your head. So when you laugh at psychotropics, psychological drugs, don't laugh. It's a huge innovation and saved a lot of people from suffering. But that was the age of heart disease and cancer. We haven't beaten cancer, but you're like, for example, back in the 1960s, if you had leukemia, you had about a 90% chance of dying. Today, if you have leukemia and they catch it early, you have a 90% chance of surviving. That shows how far we've come. And now we've entered the age where, since we're living longer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune diseases. And we're into the age of lifestyle drugs. Yes, we're in the age of Viagra. If you're going to live long, hey, live long and be happy. But essentially, we're creating technology to make it cheaper and to make it more accessible for everyone. And the subtext of all this is that the thing about technology is it's inherently buggy. That's part of the reason why it takes so long. Why does technology take so long? Well, the other reason why is that you have incumbents. These are people who are going to fight tooth and nail. They don't want the world to change. They want it to stay the way it is. And the thing is, they know the customer knows them. People are comfortable with it. It's hard to bring on a new technology, and that's why it takes over 10 years for it to happen. Also to build up the right infrastructure for it. And the thing is, with this invention, innovation as a cycle, what actually happens in a cycle of innovation? And you'll find that out in the next video.